Welcome back to the deep dive. We are here to give you that shortcut to being instantly well-informed. We take the densest, most important documents and just pull out the pure nuggets of knowledge for you. Today, we have a fantastic mission. We're focusing on the very tip of the spear in modern conflict, field artillery. We're going deep on how a field artillery platoon, the operational heart of fire support, actually trains, certifies, and qualifies for, well, the brutal realities of large-scale combat operations. And our source is the most current guidance available. We're looking at the official training strategy updates for 2024.
Yeah, and this deep dive is so necessary because what we're looking at, it isn't just a military checklist. It's a really detailed strategy for how the U.S. Army is training units to survive and to fight against near-peer adversaries right now.
Okay.
We're looking at that critical phase where training shifts from certifying individual crew members to certifying the entire collective platoon. The FA platoon, it's the smallest formation that maneuvers and delivers sustained fire. So this collective certification is the absolute foundation for success.
So we're decoding the 6 final artillery tables. That's ATC-7 through AT-12. They define that collective standard. And, one detail just jumps off the page immediately, marking this 2024 update as truly reflective of modern warfare. The guidance emphasizes 2 major additions.
That's right. The first is highly technical. Cannon crews must now be fully capable of handling precision-guided munitions, or PGMs, for their high-level certifications, specifically tables the 7th and 12th.
That's a huge shift in the technical skill needed.
It is a massive shift.
And the second one, it speaks to the survivability problem every soldier faces today. They formally implemented explicit counter-UAS measures, that's counter-unmanned aerial systems.
Right, within the platoon collective tasks. The drone threat is no longer theoretical, it's now a graded standard for qualification.
So it fundamentally changes the whole equation.
It does. Qualification is no longer just about firing a perfect round. It's about operating digitally, protecting the system from, aerial observation, and moving constantly to avoid that counter-battery fire.
Okay, let's unpack this building block approach. The training is structured, it's entirely around the idea that if you can't survive, you can't shoot.
Exactly.
So before the platoon can even think about delivering fire, they have to master the basics, mobility and self-defense. And that's the role of those first 3 collective tables, right?
Yeah.
The 7 through 18X.
Yep. These tables are the gatekeepers. They focus almost entirely on basic tactical principles that keep the unit alive in, a highly lethal environment. AT-7th is the reconnaissance of a position.
And what does that mean in practice?
It means the skill of quickly and accurately selecting, inspecting, and preparing a firing point. It doesn't matter if you're a heavy self-propelled unit or the towed system. You have to do it fast.
And AT-8?
AT-8 is all about tactical movement, controlling a field artillery move. This emphasizes the continuous repositioning required in LSCO to avoid being trapped and targeted. The whole platoon has to move as one coordinated unit.
Right.
Then finally, ATIX is occupation. That's where they establish the operations center and, critically, establish firing capability at the new location, rapidly and efficiently.
I think the key takeaway here for you, the listener, is the emphasis the guidance places on this phase. The source is absolutely clear. Successful execution of AT-7 through IX is just as important as the successful evaluation of delivering fires in the later tables.
It's not just administrative. If you fail movement, you fail qualification, period.
Wow.
And that standard of survivability, it's applied to every single element of the fire mission. In MLRS and HIMARS units, for instance, it's not just the firing platoons that are evaluated on tactical movement.
So who else?
The ammunition support platoons participate right alongside them. They have to show proficiency in tactical movement and in establishing and defending those crucial ammunition-holding areas.
That makes perfect sense. The gun can't shoot if the ammo can't survive the movement to get there. So if the ammo platoons fail their tactical movement, the firing platoon can't pass the overall collective evaluation. The entire chain is now tied to logistics survivability.
Absolutely. And going back to that 2024 update on counter-UAS measures, the guidance mandates that CUAS procedures must be integrated and evaluated during these movement and occupation tasks.
What does that look like?
It's everything. From passive measures like maintaining radio silence and using advanced camouflage during occupation, to active measures like monitoring drone traffic and deploying electronic countermeasures if they have them. The survivability standard is constantly adapting.
That's a fascinating layer of complexity. And the source allows commanders flexibility on how they evaluate these tables. They can be discrete situational training exercises, or they can be rolled into a larger field training exercise.
Yeah.
But that minimum standard has to be met before they move on.
Right. And now we shift focus to the final three tables, ATX, EC, AG, and 12. If the first set was about surviving to the fight, this set is about providing timely, accurate, and sustained fires.
And sustaining them is key.
Sustaining them is key. The evaluation here ensures the platoon can maintain operations and survival against threats over an extended period in LSCO.
So we move from initial training to a dry certification and then finally to a live qualification. The pressure and complexity just ramp up at each step.
That's it. ATX is platoon training. They work through processing complex fire missions, conducting emergency missions, controlling cannon firing operations, all the basics.
Then comes the certification.
Then we hit the certification phase.
Mm-hmm.
ATS is platoon certification. This is evaluated under dry conditions, so no rounds fired, using the exact same high-level tactical and procedural tasks as 7 through X.
And finally, the ultimate test. A12, platoon qualification under live fire conditions. The complexity is just progressively increasing across all these tables, incorporating greater echelon integration in a wider range of munitions. And this is where that 2024 PGM update really requires a deep dive into the tech.
It really does. The updated guidance requires the crew not just to, know about PGMs, but to be technically proficient in preparing them. It's a multi-layered technical process. Some people call it the precision fire stack.
The source mentions a highly technical procedure involving black key encryption. I mean, that sounds like something out of a spy movie, but it's essential for precision artillery. Can you walk us through why this specific procedure is so necessary for a crew to pass?
Certainly. To fire a modern precision round like the Excalibur, which relies on GPS in flight, you need two things: the physical round and the daily cryptographic code, or key.
Okay.
Think of the single key loader, the SKL, as the security guard loading the daily password, that black key encryption, into the rest of the fire control system.
So the SKL is providing the key. Where does it go from there?
It loads that key into the Platform Integration Kit, or PIK, which is basically the secure interface on the gun itself. Once the PIK has that key, it can securely talk to the fuse setter.
And the fuse setter is called the Enhanced Portable Inductive Artillery Fuse Setter, or EPAAF.
EPAAFS. It's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful.
But its function is simple and absolutely critical. The EPAFS inducts the data, including that necessary GPS encryption, onto the PGK fuse that's attached to the shell.
So the whole chain has to work perfectly.
The entire digital chain. It's what enables the PGK fuse to use GPS signals in flight for just dramatically increased precision and lethality. If the crews can't execute that cryptographic loading process, if they fail any part of the PGK chain, they cannot fully utilize their precision capability, and they fail the modern qualification standard.
It's fire missions meeting cybersecurity protocols.
Yes, often in the field at 3 in the morning.
That complexity just reveals so much about the expectations for the modern FA crew. They aren't just trained to load and fire, they are now digital technicians under immense pressure.
Exactly. And that digital requirement is complicated by the munitions mix required for training versus what they use for qualification.
That's a crucial distinction the source makes. When we look at the dry fire tables, ATX and AI, the training requires extremely complex missions using specialized munitions.
Yeah. Things like elimination rounds, white phosphorus or WP for marking, schedule of fires, PGMs like Excalibur, and even FASTCAM, the family of scatterable mines.
But here's the crucial trade-off the source material reveals. When you jump to the final live qualification in A12, the overwhelming majority of rounds fired are conventional HE high-explosive munitions.
Right. The source explicitly notes that those special munitions, WP, illumination, immediate smoke, are often accomplished only in the dry fire tables due to what they call ammunition or range constraints.
So the unit gets certified on the high-tech, lethal, specialized stuff in a simulation in dry fire, but the final live fire confidence grade is achieved largely with conventional rounds.
It suggests a critical trade-off. It's about resource constraints versus actual live exposure to their cutting-edge weaponry.
It absolutely does. It reveals a necessity to prioritize training confidence in basic, lethal fire delivery with HE rounds, while trusting the digital proficiency they got in the dry fire simulation for those costly, specialized capabilities.
A crucial takeaway for anyone trying to understand the real-world pressures on readiness.
So transitioning from the tables themselves, we have to talk about the commander's vital role in this whole process. This isn't just a checklist handed down from above.
No, not at all. It's an ongoing, holistic assessment that the commander designs to achieve, improve, and sustain the platoon's proficiency, both technical and tactical.
And that assessment is directly tied to the strategic goal of the entire organization, which is defined by the Integrated Weapons Training Strategy, the IWTS.
That's right. The guidance is crystal clear. A firing platoon must successfully complete Level 3 qualification, which is AT-12, before it is authorized to provide live artillery fires in support of maneuver company live fire events.
Like the FCX and CalACA.
Exactly. No passing grade, no live support for the ground troops. Simple as that.
So to design the plan that gets them to AT-12, the commander has to look at several key, often messy, real-world factors.
They really do. They have to assess the turnover of key personnel, like the platoon leader, platoon sergeant, or master gunner, since the last qualification.
And the availability of resources is a huge factor, isn't it?
It is. They look at the available training days, the land they can use, and, crucially, the amount of ammunition they've been allocated. But the factor that directly relates back to LSEO survivability is maintenance status.
How so?
Well, the platoon must be trained and capable of executing fully digital operations, leveraging that complex PKXSKL stack we talked about. And they must be able to immediately switch to fully degraded manual operations if the digital systems fail under an enemy attack.
So they need that dual proficiency.
It's mandatory.
The source also mentions looking at previous performance, right? Individual crew training from AT's IVI and even simulator performance. It's a complete 360-degree view of readiness, not just some final exam.
Right. And that final exam, the FTX, where AT-12 is conducted, it has to be exceptionally rigorous to be successful. The guidance demands realism. Ideally, it's a challenging exercise of 5 days or more, and the evaluation requirements are highly detailed.
And it can't be graded internally.
No. You need certified evaluators who are external to the evaluated platoon.
Yeah.
That provides an impartial assessment and ensures the standards aren't, watered down.
Beyond external grading, the whole event needs to be meticulously orchestrated.
By an exercise control cell, which is usually the battalion staff. But the most challenging requirement is the realism of the scenario. The source mandates a scenario with credible enemy threats, requiring dedicated enemy forces to provide opposition and direct engagement.
And they also require non-combatant role players. That's a key detail, often forgotten in basic training. The operational environment of LSQO is rarely sterile.
Not at all.
Dealing with the complexity of non-combatants and the rules of engagement while still trying to move, survive, and fire accurately, that adds significant pressure.
Absolutely. The goal is to simulate chaos. And to do that, the control cell has to provide all the required logistical, signal, maintenance, and survey support the platoon would actually get in combat. It forces the platoon leader to manage those resources under stress, just as they would in a real fight.
So if we synthesize this entire deep dive into the modern field artillery platoon, what's the big picture takeaway for you, the listener?
The overarching theme is that the standard for operational readiness has just fundamentally shifted. It's moved from a narrow focus on ballistics to a holistic mastery of digital survival.
So qualification isn't just about hitting the target anymore.
Not at all. It's about mastering mobility, ensuring survivability against persistent threats like drones with CUAS measures, and integrating complex precision fire mechanisms, all while proving you're capable of sustained operations in a fully digital or a fully degraded environment.
You know, if we connect this structured training model back to your interest in gaining knowledge quickly, this progression offers a perfect model for certifying any complex system.
It really does.
The structure dictates that you first master the basics, movement and survival in a hostile environment. That's your AT-7 through IX. Then you layer in the highest complexity and specialized capabilities in a controlled, dry environment, which is ATX and ATI. And finally, you prove basic capability and resilience under realistic life stress with AT-12. It's a highly rational building block approach to readiness.
But that progression raises an important consideration that we should probably leave you with. We noted that the specialized lethal munitions Excalibur FASTCAM, they're required for the dry fire training, but are often excluded from the final live fire qualification tables.
Because of resource constraints.
Right, because of constraints. This reveals an inherent tension.
The tactical reliance on those critical modern precision capabilities is primarily proven in simulation. So if those rounds represent the decisive technological edge in a major conflict, how does this resource-driven choice, focusing the live fire grade primarily on conventional HE rounds, ultimately shape a unit's confidence and its operational readiness compared to a qualification where every round fired reflects the full suite of their modern capabilities? What stands out to you?